Hey Clashers, we get new balance changes in Clash of Clans with the next maintenance break, but we should take a look at the rocket balloons because they will get quite a big buff. No, not for town level 16, level 11 is going to stay the same, but on level 10 they already get quite some changes. The DPS is going to be increased from 276 to 285. As well, the death damage, which means if a rocket balloon goes down and drops down, it's dealing damage to the buildings below them. This damage is getting increased from 600 to 650 for the level 10 rocket balloons. For level 9, we have this death damage increase from 500 to 620, which is a massive buff, to be honest. The DPS of level 9 rocket balloons are going to be increased as well on top of that from 256 to 280, which is another massive buff. For level 8, it's going to be the same again. DPS increased from 236 to all the way up to 270, which again is quite a massive change. The same thing is happening to the death damage, which means this is going to be buffed from 400 all the way up to 580, which is again a really big change. Now you might wonder, it's why exactly do they change the rocket balloons? Well, they want to make sure that some interactions are staying the same over different tower level, which means there will be another nerf as well for the regular archer tower. But yet again, don't be afraid, it's not for town level 16, this is for the level of the archer towers of level 16 and 17. This means the nerf here is only 20 HP of the archer tower. This is to make sure, as I just said, that the interaction between different buildings and the different level of rocket balloons are staying somewhat the same over the different town hall level. Now you wonder as well still, why are those changes happening? Well, if we take a look back in time at the calendar of Supercell, which they have released at the beginning of this month, they have told us that there is going to be a new Super Troop event later this month. And with the image already, we can tell it's going to be a rocket balloon event. So no big surprise that they're going to buff rocket balloons, because I feel like overall rocket balloons were not like, let's put it that way, they were not the most famous super troop out there, and I feel like those events are meant to make sure that people are trying out different stuff and trying out different super troops without having to waste the Dark Elixir. I've heard from a lot of different people that after the Super Dragon event, they have started using the Super Dragons because they quite like them. The same might happen to the rocket balloons, but for that they need to adjust the strength and need to make sure that they're actually viable on most of the different town hall level. And I guess that's why we have seen the buffs. By the way, if you're wondering what exactly the Super Troop event is looking like, make sure to follow this channel because I will always keep you up to date whenever we are allowed to say anything. I will make sure to keep you updated, to let you know what are the best strategies, what exactly and how exactly is the event going to look like, and everything around it as well. Another event is going to happen later this month as well, which is going to be the Streak event. If you want to know what that is looking like, make sure, as I said, to follow this channel. But if Supercell is continuing this streak, which they're doing right now, we just had a Super Dragon event, Super Dragons got buffed. Now the Rocket Balloon event, Rocket Balloons just got buffed. So what is, if we take a look at all of the other super troops, if they continue this streak, what other super troops are going to be changed or buffed? Because if we take a look at the first couple of super troops, Super Baron, I think is somewhat in a fine spot. I think it's okay. Super Archer should be fine as well. Sneaky Goblin, same thing, should be totally fine, to be honest. Super Warbreaker, same story. The first row, every single troop is completely fine. But as soon as we're dropping, only one row, we're starting already with problems. The Giant is not that popular, let's put it that way. It's like Root Riders, but in way worse. So I'm wondering how is Supercell going to change that if they're going to rework all of the different super troops. Which means Super Giant needs for sure a massive buff, either in stats or overall a rework with the ability. The same thing with the Rocket Duo, which we have already seen. They're going to give, especially for the middle town level, quite some buffs to that super troop. Super Wizard, let's face it, it's pretty decent in a blimp, but even that is not that popular right now, and without a blimp, you pretty much never see them. So maybe a little bit of a buff could be kinda nice, I guess, for the Super Wizard. Super Dragon, we just had the Super Dragon event, and they got buffed a little bit before that. Next thing is going to be the Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon, we don't see them too often either, but I feel like that is mainly because there is a lot of splash right now in the village, And Super Dragons, alright, sorry, Inferno Dragons are kinda quickly going down. So maybe like a hit point buff or something like that could be helpful for them, but overall I'm not sure what exactly to change for the Inferno Dragons to make them more viable. Super Minions on the other side, they're again kind of like Super Wizards. Inside a blimp, they are really, really solid. Outside of a blimp, pretty much no one uses them. So maybe a small buff, at least maybe a little bit. Next one though is going to be an interesting one. Super Valkyrie. Did you even know that this super troop exists? I have pretty much never seen it, except if a pro tries to be fancy and creative. That's where you use the Super Valkyrie, but otherwise, not that much. I feel like we need either a stats increase, or what I would prefer, a kind of like a rework, and maybe making the rage, which is getting dropped, way bigger or stronger or something like that. I think that would be quite nice. As well, the next super troop is Super Witch. In my opinion, totally fine. She got so many buffs recently. She got the new level, quality of life improvements and everything. Super Witch, in my opinion, is right now in a really, really good spot. Next one, iTzu. Not getting used that much. But I'm not sure if it's because it's bad or because, well, you only have 2 super troop slots, which means nice sound a lot of times is not getting used. You have already typically the Super Warbreaker, maybe a Sneaky Goblin. You have already your super troops filled up, which means an ice sound is really used kind of rarely, sadly. Maybe a small buff could change that. Super Bowler on the other side is completely fine in my opinion. It's strong, it's viable, it's really good to use, it's completely fine. Next one is the Super Miner, and oh boy, Super Miner I think would need to get it kind of like a buff. It's not really that strong, maybe more hit points or something, because if you compare that for 24 housing space, it's like more housing space than the Root Rider, but it has not even half the hit points, or by now, kind of half the hit points after all of the nerfs of the Root Rider. I'm still not, I'm not really sure. It's like, it's a really weird super troop, and I hope that they're going to find a way of making it useful. Next one and last one, to be honest, is the Super Hawk Rider, and I have already showcased you in the last couple of videos that I think the Super Hawk Rider right now is a completely viable troop, really strong, so I don't think that this one is needing any buff whatsoever. So that would be at least my suggestion, but I would love to hear what super troops you think need a buff, or even a rework, and what this would look like. I would love to read that down below in the comments, but Supercell has not only shared now the balance changes, because that's already it, kind of, right? Like, it's the Rocket Loon buff, and it's the really minor nerf for the Archer Towers of level 16 and 17 of 20 hit points. I mean, that's not a lot. That's just to make sure that some interactions are staying the same on different tower level. But what Supercell has shown as well is a small clip on their official channels, which we should take a look at. Because Supercell has uploaded a shorts on their YouTube and onto their TikTok, for example, where they have showcased how expensive walls are actually. And this is, they're quite expensive, let's put it that way. Overall, this is kind of like a meme around it, but in the background they're showing something which I feel like maybe was not intentional, or it was really a well-planned teaser, who knows. But if we take a look at the background and we zoom in, we see there is quite a few buildings which do not look the same as in the live game, which means, for example, the client castle looks different, which means a new level is really likely going to happen. But what would that look like? I really hope that we do not have an increase in housing space, because this would mean that we could play like a triple Yeti blimp. I don't think that that is healthy for the game whatsoever. I think a triple Yeti blimp is way too strong, so I don't hope that that is going to happen. Another spell slot sounds too strong as well. Maybe they're just going to change something around it, like more storage capacity or something like that. I think that would be already fine, and just more hit points or something like that. I don't think it really needs the raw power of another housing space increase or spell slot increase. But another building is looking there as well. Were you able to spot it? I mean, it's kind of easy, right? It's right next to the client castle, and that's the monolith. Is looking different as well. It's kind of looking really cool with this black sheen, but I'm not really sure if it really fits the Town Hall 16 red color tone, I guess, which we have seen mainly so far from their town level. So, not really sure. I think individually I like it, but in Town Hall 16 overall, I'm not really sure anymore. Next one is on the far left side. Did you spot it? The eagle looks a bit different as well. And can you spot any other buildings which look different as well? I would love to hear that from you in the comments, but there's going to be some exciting things for the future. If you always want to stay up to date when it comes down to strategies, to information around Clash of Clans, guides, and everything to make sure that you're always well prepared when you're getting into the game, make sure to follow this channel, and I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next Clash video. Until then, see ya, and bye bye.